Hey everyone, today I'm going to do a bracket and figure out the best wrestler in the world. Alright, so I have 64 wrestlers put into a bracket. We're going to go person by person and I'm going to tell you why they advanced or why they didn't advance. Let's go. So first matchup is Seth Rollins versus Andrade, and this one is incredibly easy for me. It's Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins is definitely one of my favorite wrestlers. I think Seth Rollins is so good. He's had some pitfalls lately due to his Twitter game and not being able to connect with the fans, but I think this Monday Night Messiah character is really helping him. I think Andrade is going to be one of the best wrestlers in the world. Unfortunately, I think lately he's kind of been overshadowed by Angel Garza, who has done a better job at being what they wanted Andrade to be, which I think is going to hurt Andrade in the end. So this one is Seth Rollins. Because of his run recently with Seth Rollins, I got to give the edge to Buddy Murphy in the matchup between Buddy Murphy and Juice Robinson. I just think that Buddy Murphy has done so good being a part of that stable. And Juice Robinson, though he's had some amazing matches against Jon Moxley and Cody within the past couple of years, I still think he is more of a comedy character, and I think Buddy Murphy is really coming into his own. Jay Lethal versus Rusev. This one is difficult for me because I've always been a big fan of Rusev, especially during his Rusev Day run. However, Jay Lethal has done a really good job continuously carrying Ring of Honor, which has not been easy to do since the likes of Kenny Omega, Cody, Hangman Page, and the Young Bucks have left. I'm going to give this one to Jay Lethal. I think he has really risen to the occasion with Ring of Honor, and I just think Rusev has really fallen apart lately, and now with him being released from the company, hopefully he can build on what he had, but right now I'm giving the edge to Jay Lethal. Kota Ibushi versus Brian Cage. This one is very easy for me. It's Kota Ibushi. Well, I think Brian Cage is really good. I think that Kota Ibushi is just such an amazing talent. He's one of the people that really turned me on to New Japan Pro Wrestling. His matches with Kenny Omega and his tag team match with Kenny Omega against the Young Bucks is one of my favorite matches of all time. Kota Ibushi easily wins this one for me. Kenny Omega versus Dragon Lee. Again, this one is incredibly easy for me. I gotta give the edge to Kenny Omega. I've seen some great matches with Dragon Lee in the junior heavyweight division in New Japan. However, Kenny Omega is just such an incredible talent. I think he needs to find his way in All Elite Wrestling, because lately he hasn't had those matches that have made you go, oh my gosh, look at how good he is. But with the work that he's had with guys like Kazuchika Okada, Jon Moxley, and Pac, I'm giving the edge to Kenny Omega. So this next matchup is difficult for me. Tetsuya Naito versus Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is awesome. However, he's never gotten past that upper mid-carder role, even when he was Universal Champion. Tetsuya Naito is another person who was never able to reach the main event scene. However, recently, he did finally get up there against Kazuchika Okada when he beat him at Wrestle Kingdom, and he's now the double champion. So because of that, I'm giving the win to Tetsuya Naito. Chris Jericho. There's no debate on this one. Chris Jericho is 100% better than R-Truth. R-Truth is nothing more than a comedy character. He's a really good comedy character, but it's no doubt in my mind that it's Chris Jericho. Kento Miyahara versus Nick Aldis. I'm not as familiar with either of those two, but I've seen matches from the both of them. I'm going to give the edge in this one to Nick Aldis because of what he has done elevating the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship. He has put on some great matches with Cody and Tim Storm and Marty Scurll, and I just think what he's doing with this belt is so incredible that I think he deserves the edge over Kento Miyahara. Kofi Kingston versus Evil. Evil is someone that I really think is going to be a big player in New Japan one day. However, Kofi Kingston really has finally shown as a lead member of the New Day. Something that does push him down was the way that he has fallen down the card after he lost the WWE Championship, which I can't say was unexpected. But because of that heart-wrenching journey that Kofi Kingston took us on for WrestleMania 35, I'm giving the win to Kofi Kingston. John Morrison versus Drew McIntyre. I mean, especially with his amazing Royal Rumble win, I've got to give the win to Drew McIntyre. John Morrison is great, but again, he's been thrown back into the tag scene with The Miz, and Drew McIntyre is finally getting what I think he's deserved for a very long time. This one's really hard for me because Marty Scurll is one of my favorite wrestlers, but Tommaso Ciampa has been a part of a bunch of my favorite matches. So in this one, I have to decide if being one of my favorite wrestlers or being someone who's been a part of my favorite matches is higher. And because of that, I think I've decided I'm going to weigh matches higher than favorites because I want it to be the best wrestlers in the world, not my favorite wrestlers. So I think the matches that I've seen most recently from Ciampa have been higher than Marty Scurll. I don't know. I personally was kind of bummed when Marty Scurll decided to stay with Ring of Honor. I was really excited for him to go to All Elite Wrestling. I thought he could have had some amazing matches there. But, you know, he did what he thought he wanted to do, so I wish him best. But that decision really pushes him down for me, and the matches that Ciampa's been having are top-notch. So I'm giving the win to Tommaso Ciampa. So I was really surprised when Tony Nese was this high up on the PWI 500 list, which is why he made it on the bracket, because I did the top 64 on that list. And this one's not even close. It's Jon Moxley. I don't really have to even explain it. Tony Nese is great, but he's not even playing the same game as Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley is just a freaking beast. Sorry, Tony. You just got destroyed. This is another one that I think is kind of a blowout. You look at Jeff Hardy's career and you see a guy who's really changed the game. But lately, he's gotten into trouble a lot. He hasn't had a consistent length of time where he's been putting in killer matches. And Kazuchika Okada, I have just never seen a bad match of his. Okada definitely just creams Jeff Hardy. Pentagon Jr. versus Matt Taven. I really enjoyed a match that I saw Matt Taven have when he went to a Ring of Honor show this past summer. However, Pentagon Jr. is just... his gimmick is really cool, and I think he is better than his brother Phoenix in the matches that I've seen him have. The match that Pentagon had with Kenny Omega at All In a couple years ago was really strong, and I'm not quite into Matt Taven as a character. I think he suffers from a lot of what I think Ring of Honor suffers, is that they don't really know where they are right now, and they say they're the best wrestling in the world, but it seems like they're just trying to be WWE light a lot of the time. And so I'm gonna give the win to Pentagon Jr. Jay White versus Rey Mysterio. This is really difficult for me because Rey Mysterio I consider to be one of the, most exciting wrestlers of all time, but Jay White has really been a great leader of the Bullet Club. I think I'm going to give this one to Rey Mysterio, giving him a little bit of edge because of what he has done in his whole career and the way he's been able to sustain that. I think if maybe you asked me in a year, my answer would change, but right now, Rey Mysterio, I think, is the higher caliber wrestler. Ricochet versus Hangman Adam Page. I think both of these guys have the potential to be extraordinary wrestlers. Just absolutely incredible talent. But I think both of them have really struggled getting past that mid-card ceiling. Ricochet is just such a cool wrestler. All of his moves are incredible, but he can't cut a promo worth crap. And I think Adam Page has really finally started connecting with his character. Unfortunately, the pandemic has slowed the momentum, but his, drunken persona has really surprisingly hit the mark with fans. So because of that, I'm giving it to Adam Page. Daniel Bryan versus Shingo Takagi. Shingo Takagi had some incredible matches against Will Ospreay and other people, especially during his Best of the Super Juniors tournament run. But I'm going to give this to Daniel Bryan because Daniel Bryan is so freaking good. I don't think it's that hard to see that Daniel Bryan always brings it. His resurgence ever since coming back from retirement has been one of the coolest things ever. He's been able to turn heel, which no one thought he would be able to do, and get amazing heat, and then turn backface, and everyone was ready to welcome him. So I'm definitely going to give this to Daniel Bryan. So when I started watching wrestling, I thought Shinsuke Nakamura was really cool because everyone said he was cool. But I've never really got him. I was so excited for AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura because everyone told me I should be very excited for AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura. And I was like, meh. On the other hand, Aleister Black has really performed highly. I started watching right as he debuted in NXT, and his persona was just like, whoa. And I just think he is one of the best finishers with the Black Mass. Because of this might be controversial, but I think the better wrestler is Aleister Black. Cody versus Hiroki Goto. It is very difficult for me to not put Cody past against anyone. I think Hiroki Goto is such a great member of the New Japan roster, but Cody has really been the one who has put All Elite Wrestling on the map. In my opinion, he's had the best matches out of anyone in All Elite Wrestling, maybe except for Moxley and Chris Jericho, but I think Cody is just on another playing field, and I'm glad to give this win to Cody. Adam Cole Bebe versus Minoru Suzuki. Minoru Suzuki is a badass. He always comes across as someone you do not want to cross, and I loved his most recent matches at Wrestle Kingdom. Adam Cole, however, has really been one of the faces of NXT. He finally got the Undisputed Era together properly. I think they really came into their own when they added Roderick Strong, and ever since then, they've been unbeatable. I think his matches against Johnny Gargano were just some of the best of all time, and because of that, I'm giving the win to Adam Cole, Bebe. Roman Reigns versus Jordan Devlin. So I think Jordan Devlin is really good. His run with the Cruiserweight title has been really good. But Roman Reigns, no matter love him or hate him, he just has that something special that kids love. And I don't think he gets enough credit for how good of matches he has. In my opinion, one of the most underrated matches of his career was the Shield match at Fastlane 2019. Now, I might be a little biased because I was there for it, but that match was just so much fun, and Roman Reigns really added so much energy to that. And because of that, I'm giving the win to Roman Reigns. The Velveteen Dream versus Baron Corbin. I have to admit, I don't dislike Baron Corbin as much as a lot of people. I think he does what heels are supposed to do, not be liked. But also Velveteen Dream has something that a lot of people don't, which is a personality that transcends anything. I know a lot of people want to label his sexuality or be like, oh, this is what he's trying to be, but he's just the Velveteen Dream. However, I'm going to get controversial here. I'm giving the win to Baron Corbin. Velveteen Dream's character is incredible, and his match against Ricochet was really good. But other than that, I just haven't been whelmed by Velveteen Dream. And Baron Corbin, while he's had some really awful matches, has had some matches that you're like, okay, this guy can go. And because of that, I'm giving the win to Baron Corbin. Will Ospreay versus Ali. Man, Ali would have probably gotten the push that Kofi Kingston got if he didn't get injured. And I'm pretty sure that he is the voice or the mysterious hacker in SmackDown. So hopefully will be able to come back. But Will freaking Ospreay is incredible. This guy is so young. He's amazing. I just cannot tell you a time where I've watched Will Ospreay where I haven't said, wow, that match is one of the best matches I've seen. He just mesmerizes me every time I watch him, and I bet you he's going to go pretty far in this tournament. So, Will Ospreay. Jeff Cobb versus Sonata. I was really excited when Jeff Cobb showed up in All Elite Wrestling because I thought this was going to be like a full-time thing, but he hasn't showed back since. And he's had some good matches in New Japan and Ring of Honor. However, I think I'm going to give the win to Sonata. I think Sonata is rising above a lot of other people in New Japan. I think eventually when Evil and himself break up, it is going to elevate both of them, but I think the person who's going to come out best is going to be Sonata, so I'm giving the win to Sonata. AJ Styles versus Pac. So here's a controversial opinion. I think Pac was better when he was Neville in WWE. His matches against like Austin Aries and other people in the Cruiserweight division were really good. I know he wasn't happy with the way he did. They screwed him over when they had him lose to Enzo. But man, he had some great matches. And when he finally lost, I believe it was to Akira Tozawa, he went freaking nuts. And I loved that. AJ Styles, though, he really had some great matches. And his match against The Undertaker, I don't care what anyone says, that match was awesome. That is what you want in pro wrestling. You want something that is going to seem epic. In that match, yes, it was pre-recorded, but it was epic. It made me excited about The Undertaker again. And because of that, AJ Styles gets the win. Bobby Lashley versus The Miz. I just don't like Bobby Lashley. I thought when they put him with Leo Rush, I thought that was really good. And then they started having Leo Rush chanting, Lashley, Lashley, Lashley. And that just screwed things up for me. The Miz, he's really good, and I think he's a lot of fun. But he's not a great in-ring wrestler either for the most part. But I guess because I don't despise him, I'm giving the win to The Miz. Walter versus Robert Roode. Walter. Robert Roode is just a theme song. Simple as that. Walter is amazing, and he has an epic theme song too. Finn Balor versus Dolph Ziggler. Finn Balor, I guess, has never done it for me. I know he's supposed to be amazing, and he's had some good matches with Seth Rollins, but I just don't get it. I don't think his NXT run has been all that special. I feel like he's just taking up a spot that someone else could get. I'm just not a big fan. Dolph Ziggler, he puts on good matches. He's been around for a while. I don't think he's been treated well. I think at this point, he just wrestles knowing he's going to lose. He's been very open about that. And I'm probably sure I'm going to get destroyed in the comment section, but I'm giving this to Dolph Ziggler in the fact that I think he is performing to his highest potential, and I just don't think Finn Balor is. Johnny Gargano versus Cedric Alexander. Johnny Gargano is one of my favorites. And no offense to Cedric, but Johnny Gargano just could wrestle anyone into a good match. And I just think Johnny Gargano is so special. I think hopefully this heel run with Candice really helps him. I think he might be close to hitting a ceiling in NXT. And I'm not exactly sure how far he could go in a Raw or SmackDown setting. But based on the fact that he probably has the most of my favorite matches of all time, I'm going to give this to Johnny Gargano. Braun Strowman versus Randy Orton. Braun Strowman had so much potential. And then he just kept losing. Randy Orton is a beast, and he still can go. And when he's really invested in something, it's great. I was not as critical with the match that he had against Edge at WrestleMania. I do agree that it was pretty darn long, but for what it was so much fun. And there is nothing better than watching an RKO. Samoa Joe versus Pete Dunne. Man, I love both of these wrestlers. It's hard because I think both of them recently haven't done much ever since Pete Dunne lost his United Kingdom champion, I think he's really struggled to break out. His stuff with Matt Riddle has been fun, but it still hasn't... I feel like the main star of this is Matt Riddle, not really Pete Dunne, so I don't think it's, been great for him. And Samoa Joe has just gotten injured so much, and he hasn't put on the spectacular matches that I think he could have had. Because I think there's a higher potential for him, I'm going to give this to Pete Dunne, but just barely. Phoenix versus Zack Sabre Jr. I'm giving the win here to Zack Sabre Jr. I think Phoenix is a lot of fun, but really, I think he's a lesser version of his brother. Zack Sabre Jr. is one of the best submission specialists in the world. It is always so much fun to watch my girlfriend just getting so excited by the new submissions that Zack Sabre Jr. has. And it definitely is so much fun to watch seeing him dismantle somebody. Round 2, Seth Rollins versus Buddy Murphy. I'm giving this one to Seth Rollins. I think Seth Rollins is doing a great job trying to elevate Buddy Murphy, but Buddy Murphy's just not quite there yet. Seth Rollins still is one of the best in the world, and his great matches that he's had, especially on TV, I think he's one of the best TV match wrestlers that we've had in a while, are just so much fun. So I'm giving this to Seth Rollins. Jay Lethal versus Kota Ibushi. This one's easy for me. It's Kota Ibushi. Again, Jay Lethal has done a great job trying to elevate Ring of Honor, but it hasn't happened that much. Kota Ibushi, I really wanted him to win at Wrestle Kingdom. Unfortunately, he didn't. But Kota is a whole lot of fun, and I think he eventually will get the IWGP Heavyweight Championship and is going to bring that company so much exposure because of it. Kenny Omega versus Tetsuya Naito. This is really hard because I'm trying to base this off of their recent performance and not just what they've done in the past. And because of that, I would think I need to lean towards Tetsuya Naito. But Kenny Omega, just knowing what he's capable of and thinking he just hasn't been able to show what he's been able to do, I'm going to give this to Kenny Omega, giving him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt just because of what's been going on a little bit with the pandemic and that he's having to elevate people more because he's on another playing field against most of the people in the company. So I'm giving it to Kenny Omega. This one was a lot harder than I think it was. Chris Jericho versus Nick Aldis. Again, I really enjoy Nick Aldis, but Chris Jericho is one of the greatest of all time, and this run has been spectacular. Originally, I thought they should give it to Adam Page, the AEW Championship, that is, but I'm so glad they gave it to Jericho. He was so much fun as champion, and he still is a whole lot of fun. His matches have been really good, and I just think that Chris Jericho, I really don't see him slowing down anytime soon. He just puts on such awesome matches, and I think the pro wrestling world is better that he's in it. Drew McIntyre versus Kofi Kingston. Two people who won their first world championships at WrestleMania. Kofi Kingston winning it at 35, Drew McIntyre winning it at 36. It's hard to say, to compare how it felt when both of them won, because it wasn't fair, because Drew McIntyre didn't win it in front of a crowd. And I truly believe if Drew McIntyre would have won it in a big stadium, the crowd would have gone nuts. Kofi Kingston's win is one of my favorite WrestleMania moments of all time. But the surprise of Drew McIntyre winning the Royal Rumble was also one of my favorite wrestling moments of all time. I'm giving this one, though, to Kofi Kingston because I thought he put on some really good matches when he was WWE Champion. And I don't think Drew McIntyre's had enough time to really show what he can do. Yes, Kofi Kingston had some matches that weren't that great, but especially with his win against Daniel Bryan, I'm giving the edge to Kofi Kingston. Ooh, this one is hard for me. Tommaso Ciampa versus Jon Moxley. Tommaso Ciampa, again, is one of the people who's been a part of some of my favorite matches of all time. And Jon Moxley is one of my favorites. He is probably my favorite wrestler. And I think Jon Moxley finally going to AEW has really helped him so much. He's put on some great matches. And let's not forget about Moxley's matches in New Japan. And I think what gives me the edge to Jon Moxley is what he's done in New Japan. I think Japan is an amazing place for Jon Moxley, and because of his matches there, I'm giving the win to Jon Moxley. Kazuchika Okada versus Pentagon Jr. Kazuchika Okada, again, is one of the best wrestlers in the world. Pentagon Jr. is great, but he's involved too much in tag team wrestling. We don't get to see him involved in singles matches enough. So because of that, I'm giving the win to Kazuchika Okada. Not much more to be said. I think that's a pretty obvious decision. Hangman Adam Page versus Rey Mysterio. This is difficult because I think Adam Page has had a better character recently, but I think Rey Mysterio's had better matches. Rey Mysterio did have that stretch of time where he was, doing stuff with Dominic and Brock Lesnar. I think his match with Brock Lesnar was like a lot of fun for what it was, but it's also not that memorable. Adam Page has had some really great moments, but a lot of them weren't in the ring. Because of that, I'm giving the win to Rey Mysterio. Daniel Bryan versus Aleister Black. Oh man, this one's tough. I think both of them are amazing. I think the problem with Aleister Black is I think since he's been called up to the main roster, he hasn't been able to reach his full potential. And because of that, I'm going to give the win to Daniel Bryan. That hurts me, but Daniel Bryan's still putting on great matches. He's really elevating people, and I'm just so glad that we get to see more Daniel Bryan. Cody versus Adam Cole, Bay. This one's really, really hard. Because I think both of them have really pushed their company super hard. Adam Cole has put on some amazing matches, but he's also had some amazing people. I think Cody has put on some amazing matches with people that aren't quite at his level and have elevated them. And in picking this winner, I'm trying to imagine their company without them and where they would be. And I still think NXT would be very good without Adam Cole, and I don't think AEW would be as good without Cody Rhodes. And because of that, I'm giving the win to Cody. Baron Corbin versus Roman Reigns. Wow, we have seen this match a lot, and I hate it. It's really hard because we haven't gotten to see Roman wrestle that much lately. But I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to Roman Reigns because of what I've seen him do in the past, and I just think Baron Corbin is boring. Baron Corbin was able to advance one round, but not this time. Sonata versus Will Ospreay. I think Sonata is great. I think he is growing a ton, but Will Ospreay is just so much fun, and the way he's able to connect with a lot of the Japanese fans is incredible. Go listen to some interviews with Will Ospreay. It'll really show you how much heart he has in the game. Will Ospreay is just so freaking good. AJ Styles versus The Miz. The Miz is really good at promos and talking, but AJ Styles, again, because of his match with The Undertaker, I think knocks The Miz out of the park in this one. Walter versus Dolph Ziggler. I think Dolph Ziggler has gotten to the point where he's kind of reached his maximum potential, and I think Walter, besides him getting eliminated first at Survivor Series, which I will not ever understand, I think Walter has an amazing future ahead, and man, his match against Tyler Bate at NXT TakeOver in the United Kingdom a little while ago was just phenomenal. So I'm giving the win to Walter. Johnny Gargano versus Randy Orton. The RKO is so sweet, but matches that Johnny Gargano has had always make me so happy. That first real match that I saw of Johnny Gargano that I really fell in love with was his match against Andrade at NXT TakeOver Philadelphia. And that match just brought me so much excitement. And the crushing heartbreak when Johnny lost made me so sad. And so many of his other matches have given me so much emotion. And because of that, I'm giving the win to Johnny Gargano. Pete Dunne versus Zack Sabre Jr. I love them both. I, again, don't think Pete Dunne is in a great position right now. I just think he's going to get overshadowed by Matt Riddle a lot during their tag team. Hopefully their match will be really, really good when that happens. But Zack Sabre Jr. submissions are so unique, and While I would love to see a Pete Dunne versus Zack Sabre Jr. match, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. But the winner of this one is Zack Sabre Jr. All right, round 3. Daniel Bryan versus Cody. Oof. This one is so difficult. Daniel Bryan, I've seen so many of his great matches from whiles back, and his match against Kofi Kingston were really good. But most recently, I think Cody's had probably the best matches out of all of them. I was not a fan of the finish of Cody's match versus Darby Allin last week, but it was such a fun match otherwise, so I'm giving the win to Cody. I'm sure this next one is going to be very controversial. Roman Reigns versus Will Ospreay. And for me, it's not even close. It's Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay is just so much better at in-ring work. He always comes up with new moves, and Roman Reigns can just do this and spear. I love Roman Reigns. I'm glad he's back. I'm glad he's healthy. But boy, you don't even hold a candle to Will Ospreay. AJ Styles versus Walter. I want to say Walter. I really, really do. But again, with AJ Styles' amazing match against The Undertaker, I'm going to give it to AJ Styles because I still think that at this point in his career, he's doing a great job elevating a lot of people. It'll be interesting to see how he does in his career without Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, which I think they were a big part of that match, and I'm sad that they left. But I think AJ Styles is still putting on some phenomenal matches. Kind of went out of order. It's okay. Seth Rollins versus Kota Ibushi. Man, this one is tough. I love Seth Rollins very much. But Kota Ibushi just has that special something that I think transcends words, which is great because I don't speak Japanese and I don't need to understand how he's feeling, how he's doing in the ring. Because of that, I'm going to give the win to Kota Ibushi. Oh boy, is this one tough. Because of the recency of the amazing matches that Chris Jericho has had, I'm giving him the win over Kenny Omega. I didn't think I would do this, but Kenny Omega just hasn't reached his full potential in All Elite Wrestling. And Chris Jericho, I think, exceeded what I thought his potential would have been. And because of that, Chris Jericho gets the win. Kofi Kingston versus Jon Moxley. I'm giving the win to Jon Moxley. I think Kofi Kingston had an amazing run with the WWE Championship, but because of the way that fell apart and because of what Jon Moxley has done in both All Elite Wrestling and New Japan Pro Wrestling, I think Jon Moxley is the easy win here. He's had some incredible matches, and he's really been a great holder of the AEW Championship, especially during this pandemic. Kazuchika Okada versus Rey Mysterio. For me, this is easy. It's the Rainmaker, Kazuchika Okada. I think he just is New Japan Pro Wrestling right now. And in my opinion, New Japan Pro Wrestling has the best pro wrestling. The actual in-ring product is the best in the world, and he is a major part because of that. Rey Mysterio, I think, is having a great resurgence of his career, but it's nowhere near the prime of Kazuchika Okada. Johnny Gargano versus Zack Sabre Jr. There's nothing more exciting than seeing Zack Sabre Jr. with a new maneuver. However, Johnny Gargano just tugs at my heartstrings so much, and I haven't quite had that for a match of Zack Sabre Jr., and because of that, I'm giving the win to Johnny Gargano. Round 4, Kota Ibushi versus Chris Jericho. So both of them are amazing in ring. I would give the advantage in ring to Kota Ibushi right now. But part of that's because of age for Chris Jericho. But I think Chris Jericho has made the most of what he has right now. I think Chris Jericho has so much charisma. I would love to see a Kota Ibushi Chris Jericho match. If it's happened, I just totally missed it, and I'm very sad. But I don't think it has. But I'm going to give the win to Chris Jericho because of how he's been able to elevate AEW. If Kota Ibushi was currently the IWGP Heavyweight Champion, I probably would have given the win to Kota Ibushi. But Jericho's held big gold recently, and to me, I think that's a big advantage in picking the winner. Jon Moxley versus Kazuchika Okada. Oh boy. So some pros for Moxley is that Moxley has put on some really good matches in both All Elite Wrestling and New Japan Pro Wrestling. The con is Dean Ambrose and the way that ended. And I gotta factor it in now because I can't think of much negatives for Kazuchika Okada. Maybe the biggest negative for him is that he's been on top maybe a little too much, and that there hasn't really been anyone there hasn't really been a good time to take a break from him. But also it's wondering, do we need to take a break from him? And because of that, as much as it pains me, I gotta give the win to Kazuchika Okada. His consistency, I think, is key in this final decision. Cody versus Will Ospreay. Again, this one is so difficult. Cody has just started to appeal to me more, but Will Ospreay's been appealing to me for a very long time. I think in ring, the edge definitely goes to Will Ospreay, and even in terms of charisma, I'm giving the advantage to Will Ospreay. I think Cody has done an amazing job of elevating All Elite Wrestling, but Will Ospreay is just getting so much better every time he wrestles, and because of that, I'm giving the win to Will Ospreay. Johnny Gargano versus AJ Styles. I'm actually surprised AJ got as far as he did. I love AJ, but probably if you would have told me where AJ would have lasted, I probably would have said second round. But at least in terms of the matchups he's had, he's gotten pretty far. But Johnny Gargano, man, is he good. Again, I've talked so much about how much his matches tug at my heartstrings. And that Undertaker match with AJ was amazing, but Gargano Ciampa will always be one of my favorite feuds of all time. And because of that, I'm giving the win to Johnny Gargano. Chris Jericho versus Kazuchika Okada. I think this is finally where Chris Jericho falls short. Okada has ran New Japan for so long. And because of that, I got to give the win to Kazuchika Okada. It's very close because Jericho had some great run in New Japan as well. But I got to give the top-notch spot to Kazuchika Okada. Will Ospreay versus Johnny Gargano. This is really hard because I think Will Ospreay, in terms of the flying ability and what he's able to do, is unmatched. But the storylines that have been going on with Gargano and Ciampa has been really good too. I think what hurts Gargano is that he's started to get stale. Because of that, I'm giving the win to Will Ospreay. And now the finals, Kazuchika Okada versus Will Ospreay. A match that I cannot wait to see eventually for the IWGP Championship, which I know will happen. Kazuchika Okada made New Japan what it is in terms of the past 5 to 10 years. But Will Ospreay, I believe, is the future. And the matches that both of them have been so incredible. And it's deciding if I'm going to give credit to the past or give credit to the potential of the future. And because of that, I am going to give the win to Kazuchika Okada. I think Will Ospreay, if you ask me in a year, will pass Okada. But right now, Okada is pro wrestling. He is the standard bearer for what pro wrestling should be and what a top guy should be. And because he is that top guy, I think that is why I'm going to put him over Will Ospreay. And Kazuchika Okada wins my best wrestlers in the world tournament. Thank you so very much, everyone, for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this bracket format. Let me know your opinions. Let me know, what I was dead wrong about or what you agree about. And let me know what type of brackets you'd love to see again in the future. I enjoyed this type of format, and I hope to do it again. So have an amazing day, and see you later.